Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Why, hello there.
Hang on tight for this one, guys.
It's a curious one.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I was going to do news and then decided to do what the guides gave us, what's a little bit more important at this point in time. Here, this is what we did on Patreon only yesterday, talking about different bomb threats, evacuations, and part of the plan. And we know certain things, and we've been given certain things as far as pictures of part of this unrolling of this big, huge theatrical play with extremely real consequences that we were all part of. And it's just, it's the minutia, it's the little details. How do we get from point A to point B to point C, D, et cetera, et cetera? That's part of the unraveling that can be very, very fascinating. So you might have seen a lot of stars doing a certain thing with their eyes, and there's a lot of strange things that stars and politicians have done over the years. Different hand symbolism, which we know ties into certain secret societies, which again, they will say is a CON as piracy theory. But then again, the secret societies are the ones that gave us that in the first place through the alphabet soups, which they control. The reality is something definitely is going on with celebrities and politicians. They seem to get an awful lot of black eyes. What is up with that? Well, the reality behind this, as we've seen so many of them throughout the years rolling in the ears. That might be something else they do that we don't know about. You could see these people. These are all rich and famous, and they are definitely part of the shapers of the illusion that we find ourselves in. Seems like they are all following a left-handed path by the left eye having an issue there, is it not? There's Jimmy. He recently lost Rosalind. Again, another black eye. They all get the black eyes. Okay, why did he shift to Darth Vader? Well, Darth Vader literally means dark father. That's really what it interprets to. Darth Vader, dark father. When we see Vader talking to the boss, what do we see? We see him kneeling in submission to a hologram. Oh, it could not be any farther away from... the reality is always right in our faces. It's always right in our faces. As you see, this is Darth Vader when he's being initiated as Darth Vader, as he's just done something very bad and helped to eliminate Mace Windu. And the Senator Palpatine reveals himself as the Dark Lord of the Sith, Dark Lord of the left-hand path. And, while he's kneeling as Anakim, sons of Anak, they're biblical giants from the Bible, but Anunnaki is also at that root, as we have Anu, and yet when you go look at it, you'll find people that from a biblical perspective have written articles saying that the Anunnaki and Anakim have nothing to do with each other. Don't look there. It has nothing to do with each other. You're going up the wrong tree. You're barking up the wrong tree, Rama. Yeah, exactly. This is when they give us those Wikipedia type things to try to nudge us into their spin. But the reality is, kneeling as Anakin Skywalker, come on. The ones that come from the sky, the Anunnaki, those that come from the sky, the judges of humanity, the powerful, mighty ones, and arise as the Dark Father, Darth Vader. I mean, it's right in front of us all the time. And the use of holograms and technology, and then also the use of abilities that are cultivated and trained that most people don't have a clue about. Yeah, but thankfully there are in the Star Wars sagas, those of the light side trying to counteract the dark side, as it is an eternal play of the dark against the light. So again, Anunna Anunnaku, Anunnaki, just a group of gods, guys, nothing to see here. Sometimes used to describe the underworld gods. And, here you have, as opposed to gods of the heaven, the Igigi. Wait a minute, where are you getting that from? Weren't the Igigi underneath the Anunnaki? Weren't the Igigi the lower gods? Again, what you really have is everything has been twisted and distorted. Everything has been interwoven so that it gives you the perception by some that have only just looked at what their Bible tells them. Oh, well, I guess it's all just fallen angels. Yeah, again. And even the original word that's used for angel is a mistranslation of messenger. And messenger is the original intent. Simply messenger, not angel, messenger. Again, everything is so distorted, as we had quoted also about the mistranslation of Lucifer. And in reality, the whole term Lucifer, if you go back to what we saw from the Dead Sea Scrolls in the book of Isaiah, it's a mistranslation. Apparently, if we're going by the oldest sources, it has nothing to do with light bearer. Nothing to do at all. So again, what does the darkness fear? The darkness fears the light because it exposes the darkness. And this has led to some saying, well, maybe Lucifer is Christ. And I actually saw somebody yesterday said, well, Jesus' last name was Christ, right? It's like, this is how little people know. This is how little people understand. And yet they march off to war to go kill other people in the name of God. And they're just being used as simple tools based on lies and distortion. And we saw it in the new Star Wars saga too, with Supreme Leader Snoke. Again, a hologram, and Kylo Ren, the same bloodline of Anakin, the Anakim, the Anunna, again, bowing the knee to a Supreme Leader who ends up being not very supreme at all. Yet, when we look to the power structure on the planet, I think there's just a lot of people out there that cannot accept that humans are not the top of the food chain. And this is Dr. Robert Malone. And what he's saying here is we've been played, and I'm going to let you read the words. In true fifth generation warfare, you don't know who your opponent is. Who is responsible, for example? Who's responsible for the plague upon the land? Who is the real puppet master? Is it anybody that we know? Was it Klaus? Was it Gil? Was it the Pope? Was it the sickle maker? No, we don't know. We have not seen ourselves the true puppet master. Is really the point that Dr. Malone is making here. And yeah, that is extremely accurate. We have not, none of us have seen the real puppet master in person. And maybe none of us could stomach to see the real puppet master in person.
And this brings me back to that movie we did a overview on when they were talking about who is pulling the strings. I mean, the fact is that no one here that we know of are pulling any strings. No one in human form are pulling the strings. It's people are being given orders. They're going to take orders. And yesterday was very curious because I get these visions. Some are stronger than others. And I think I get them timed appropriately for when they need to come out. This information needs to come out for a certain group of people. Some people, you know who you are. And this is where I put the information out, and I think it helps. Otherwise, I wouldn't get them, or I wouldn't talk about them if I didn't think that it was going to bring some benefit. So I'm doing mantras yesterday, and it's a very common thing. I don't have anything in my mind. I just do mantras. I've kind of trained myself to go blank when I do mantras. And after the mantras, I kept falling into this little bit of a trance. I kept catching myself. And all of a sudden I see in my vision this being, this little weaselly being sitting at a table, and he had the right half of his eye was deliberately painted like in a triangle. It had to be painted specifically a certain way before he could address this person. And I was looking through the eyes of this being, but I could not see him. But this being was being addressed as the supreme leader. And the question is what do we do now, O supreme leader? And I just thought that was so creepy. That was like, this little weaselly guy down here looked like very much like he came from the Vatican wearing a Vatican dress. But he had to do his face up in makeup. And I thought that was curious that they have to go to those extents to address someone. This was the vision that I received. I think there's purpose in it, but the other thing that came flooding to me was the God in the Bible and how it states that, God, I'm a jealous God. And this being that was being addressed is extremely jealous, and this is how they like to be addressed. This is what they need it. And if they don't get it, then this guy here who's on the screen, this is the guy that was in my vision with he had his eye painted with the white suit and everything. This being, if he's not addressed, oh, my great supreme leader, he's going to kill someone. He does not screw around. He's very much feared. And this I believe is the main puppet master, or one of the main puppet masters. And I also believe this is the God of the Bible that so many people read and worship and go by. So I thought that vision was very problematic, and it came to me for a reason. And I'll let Mike do any backfilling, because sometimes I get nervous when I explain my visions, because I mean, I'm not here to upset anyone's belief system. I'm here for a purpose, and this is my purpose, is to try to help people understand who is in control. Because if we can see who's in control, maybe we're not going to be so easily played.
Absolutely. Again, Pope John Paul II was a salesman for IG Farben, the cyanide producing company that gave that cyanide or sold that cyanide to the Nazis in World War II, leading to the extermination of untold numbers of people. 5-6 million been estimates. And again, you have Pope Leo saying the myth of Christ has served us well. And when you look at, Christ and that Christ myth, again, there's been many dying and resurrection gods throughout history, Dionysus and Mithras, and it goes on and on. Mithras is interesting because in remote viewing Mithras, we found it really was an extraterrestrial. And there was a Mithraic cult, and he gave teachings to some who became his followers. There's been many extraterrestrials on the planet, and there are interdimensional beings which hold sway over both terrestrials and extraterrestrials.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so much going on, and the whole point to me is that when it comes to a parasite like this, when it comes to a being that demands to be called, oh, my great supreme leader, if he stops getting the food, if he stops being fed the emotion, if he stops having control, they simply go off and they parasite off of something else. So my hope is to at some point free a very large group of people from believing that they have to follow a certain belief system and they have to do certain things when in reality they're following dark rituals, and it's not okay. It's just not okay with me. And it's not a popular thing that I do when I come and I share my visions and my understanding, because I've had, people that are very, very close to me have completely turned on me. So it's not something I get good attention over, but this is my purpose, and that's what drives me. And I think that's what everyone needs to do, is they need to look inside of their heart and they need to make sure, are you doing what you're doing because you know you're supposed to, or are you doing what you're doing because other people expect you to?
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at this symbolism of Baphomet with the goat horns there, and the kids looking mesmerized at him, and you see the pentagram reversed, so that the one point of spirit is at the bottom. This is showing how they value the material physical over the spiritual. And when you look at the snakes that are ending right at the solar plexus, that's the Ida and the Pingala circling the Sushumna. And it's not a normal state of being. What they're giving you there is that the creative energy, the transformative energy, is going to be stopped by the ego purposely. This is the ego point is the solar plexus. It's the I am point, which again, the I am in the Bible. There's so many different ways of looking at things. If you look at the feathers, there are like feathers. It's like his wings are made of feathers. Again, they're giving you so many of the stories of angels, but again, this isn't about true angels, because again, there are true angels, and people are so led astray by the concepts of fallen angels. Everything in the BIBLE has been twisted and distorted, but so have pretty much every other tradition on the planet as well. Some more than others. And of course, the mainstream is going to be the most twisted. And when you have Christianity at 33% of the population of the planet, Islam at 30%, that is the major mind set of the planet. The lens that we view, everything is coming from an Abrahamic perspective. Just think about the U.S., one nation under God. That God is the God of the Bible. That's they talk about religious freedom, but the reality is this has been a Christian incarnation of a country on this northern North American territory in this go-round. But the reality is it's recycled. It's recycled from other Kali Yugas. All the things we see are just recycled. They've done this time and time and time again. People are catching on with Tartaria and the fact that things don't add up. We can see buildings that appear to be built with windows and entryways that are underground. Yeah, we've been washed us under. There's been so many floods there, and we're seeing them right now. There has been weather warfare going on, not just now in the 21st and even in the 20th century. Weather warfare has been going on for thousands of years. And in fact, it is tough to peg exactly when we fell back under this dark age. Again, at this moment, if I had to give a date, it probably would be about 5,000 years ago, as far as falling under the dominion of the dark side. But it is a cyclical thing. So this happens time and time and time again. Not necessarily to all the same souls, though. Many souls can and do move up, move on, don't even come back to Earth anymore. Go to other places, experience other existences. That is how the real source intended it. All this is for us, and that's another thing that came through. It might look like, why in the world will we choose to be in this dark matrix? Well, the lessons that we learn from this duality will stick with us forever beyond this lifetime.
Yeah, I was watching an individual explaining an NDE because sometimes it helps me understand my own experiences. And something that she said was so triggering. It really helped me. She said when she died, it wasn't that she just simply left her body. She said her life left her body. So when she left that body, she took with her all of her experiences, all of her knowledge, all of her knowing, all of her understanding. And that was hers. No one could take that away. No one could take that away. And even though I can't explain it, to a scientific degree to where most sciencey people would understand or accept. I believe there is something going on when it comes to the technology that we are given, the things that we are jabbed into our body. And I believe that there is this fake etheric soup that is being made, which really confuses those who are trying to leave their body. They get stuck in this underlying etheric realm that is not that of the organic, and they don't get to leave with their life. It's not that they'll be there for eternity or forever, but I do believe that on some level there is a deliberate stealing of one's energy to bring momentum to another force, and I don't agree with that. I just don't agree with that. I came here to work with the light. I came here to help other people free themselves, and this is my job. So when I see something like this, I mean, how do you know to fix anything if you don't even know that there's a problem? I mean, so many times that happens to people. They're going through their life and they're running into brick walls because they don't even know that there's a problem. But when something gets brought to their attention, well, now they can fix it. I think we all need to be on a healing path emotionally, physically, and definitely a detoxing path, because that's a big part of this bigger picture.
Yeah. This, when you look at, I keep getting drawn back to the snakes, the caduceus that ends at the solar plexus, because this tells you everything. This tells you everything, because normally that would go on up throughout the entirety of all the chakras. They want to keep our existence stuck at the solar plexus, and they want us in a perpetual state of just survival and being all focused on the ego. They want us ruled by our carnal side. They want us, just all about their system. And they also want to trap the soul. That's the biggest part of this. It's not even so much what they do to any one particular generation. They understand that when the true consciousness leaves the body, that if they could keep it in a low enough frequency, it's going to come right back and they'll be able to utilize it again. This is what they want. And so, again, there was a comment talking about resurrection, and I could feel the darkness behind the comment too. It was really very, very obvious, and whether the individual understands that or not. The whole concept of resurrecting something from a particular body and then joining the soul back to that old body is so against the natural order of things. It's not the natural order. We move on. We learn our lessons from this life. We choose new locations, usually new parents, often, and go into at least some semblance of a new family, a new situation, to learn new things. We don't come back and do the whole old thing over again. We move forward. They want us trapped in a loop, and even selling this notion of resurrection instead of reincarnation, or literally really transmigration is what the soul does. The soul migrates. It moves from one state of being to another. And what they want to do is lock it in to a state of being that they can utilize forever. And they sell it so well. Oh, death, where is your sting? Well, yeah, again, what they want to do is what this thing, and it is a thing, symbolizes. It's AI, and that they want to merge humans with AI and with machine, so they can keep the source spark, the true energy, the unlimited and all-powerful energy that is really what they covet, which is inside of each of us. They want to control the source that is in us, the real God with the big G, and utilize it to feed their AI.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to resurrection, and when you have a a body and the being passes away and it leaves that body, it no longer cares about that body. That body is now separate. It's another entity. It's something different. You move on. So the idea of resurrection, what I'm picking up is it's a very dark ritual where you're taking another entity to now reanimate that body. And that's almost like a zombieism. That's not okay. It's a dark ritual. And this is what we're surrounded with. I mean, we're like mushrooms down here. I mean, we're in the dark and surrounded by poop. And you know, so too many don't know that they even need to get out yet. But I think this world is changing. The light is coming in. The light of information is starting to touch people. And this is why we do what we do, because this is our mission. This is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to bring in that light, shine it, and then the beings start to move up. We start to raise the frequency of Earth. You can never, ever, ever, ever fix anything if you don't know what's wrong, or if you don't know that there even is something wrong.
Yeah, so this person says, can anybody tell me why this Babylonian deity is wearing the same sun cross as the Pope? Because it is. It shows, you know, who is serving who. As really, again, the Gnostics in many ways had it much more correct than the modern fundamentalist point of view. Far more correct. Yeah, absolutely. You know, the demonic entities that are portrayed in the Bible are just that. You know, when these entities are saying, go and destroy every man, woman, and child in Jericho and in these other cities in Canaan, what they're doing is destroying the last vestiges of survivors that understood what had happened in the past. The story they give you, they give some that get really deep into the fundamentalist point of view, is that these are probably, they're giants, they're sons and daughters of the fallen angels. The reality is, no, they're survivors that have too much ability for the power structure to allow to live, and also too much knowledge of the reality of the real history that has occurred, and they won't be able to sell them on it, so they have to eliminate them. And that's exactly what the system does. It should be pretty obvious, you know. I mean, they can't hide their darkness. Their darkness is all around us. It's in our faces. As you can see, the eyes of the serpent, and this distorted figure of Christ, per se. Again, there is a biblical Yeshua, and again, even when we look to the Essenes, of which, from what we gather, the real Yeshua was an Essene, and the Essenes tried to stay outside of the system as much as possible. They mostly lived by themselves in small groups, and avoided the system, because the system was the same system then as it is now.
Mm-hmm. You know, when we're talking about this this symbology that they use in the Vatican, and how they can't hide the darkness, they're not allowed to hide the darkness. This being that likes to be called the great supreme leader, he demands that his symbology be everywhere. And if it's not, there's consequences. So you can see all these other people doing this black eye thing. I mean, this is all to pay tribute to this great supreme leader, the God of the Bible. And it's something, it's the dark age, and we are moving out of the dark age, and with that comes a lot of pain. It's like taking a Band-Aid off that's been on too long. It hurts because belief systems need to be recognized, understood, and left behind if they don't suit you. But this is what all this all the symbology is about, all behind us and everywhere that we look. This being demands it. So if it's not getting that, then there's consequences, in that world that it's created.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, the supreme leader is not Enki, it's not Enlil, it's not Anu. We don't know the name. We've never been given the name of truly the top Draco, perhaps, or anybody of real significance, because when we even go back to those Sumerian writings, which do give us a clearer perception that the gods, quote unquote, were really extraterrestrial beings that are actually being controlled by interdimensional beings, not from here. But then again, humanity itself is not really from here. That's the thing. We're all migrant immigrants in a galactic war. But even those writings, which do tell much more clearly, are written by their perspective. So they're not going to give us the name of those that are really in charge. And yes, we have been able to remote view Nibiru, and there's a mix of beings. When we talk about those that are called the Anunnaki, they're not of one quote unquote color or race. No, there are many different beings. Some are more reptilian in nature, some are more bird-like in nature, some look to be almost indistinguishable from us. There's many different species per se.
And I gotta say, with that vision, I was not able to see that being. I was only able to see through the eyes. So I could see what it was looking at, and I could feel what it expected from this other one that was sitting down at the table with this eye painted black, deliberately painted black. So they have to take time to paint their eye black before they can come and address this being. So I was not able to see him. I wish I could, but maybe, that's something I'm just not supposed to right now. And when I am able to, I will. These visions, they unfold as needed when they're supposed to. The other thing that I wanted to mention too is it was a technology. So it wasn't here on Earth, but it was being viewed from Earth, maybe in a holographic form, maybe through some other technology, that we're not aware of. So I wanted to make note of that too, is I don't think it's here on this 3D planet.
No, absolutely not. But we did get that there was a group of these non-human beings on the planet, and in times past there might have been relatively numerous, as we've talked of, and many have talked of these different councils. There was a council of Greek gods that seemed to decree the fates of humans. That's what they are really, really referencing. At this time, there is only one of those that are left, and if it is still left, and it's on life support. But this is not what we're talking about. As you see a Dyson Sphere, Dyson Spheres are all about controlling the energy of a sun, of a star. And of course, they've been telling us, things like this. Oh, look at this. 2018, we have only 12 years, that takes you to 2030, to cut greenhouse gas emissions by 45%. Yeah, they're talking openly about blocking out the sun, and a Dyson Sphere could do that. It could absorb and utilize all the energy of the sun. There's a Dyson Sphere in the Vatican. Again, they're telling us. We've seen changes in the sun. We've wondered about the color of the sun changing, and there is a natural order of things as the light spectrum changes when we're in a golden age. And Cindy's got an interesting look on her.
Well, I'm just asking, with the Dyson Sphere sitting right there on the Vatican lawn, is there no explanation for it? Do they not say why it's there? It's just odd to plop it on the lawn.
I would say that it was probably a piece of art donated by somebody, but and again, it's probably from one Illuminati member to another.
That's right.
In reverence to the supreme leaders that are out there.
Right, so they have their own little cover story as to why it's there, but they know full well exactly why it's sitting out there on display.
So this says the Dyson Sphere to proceed from a planetary species to an interstellar one. Humans need for more energy than we can find on Earth, we need to harness the sun. And again, this is what they are doing. They're parasites, and they're harnessing the energy from our sun and utilizing it in dark ways, and they're harnessing our own energy. And again, this is Pope John Paul II, as you see him with Reagan and Nancy there. And he was a salesman for IG Farben, again, the company that supplied the Zyklon B. as you look at this depiction.
Another piece of art.
Yeah, just another piece of art, just another all-seeing eye. It's just so clear, the similarity between Vatican and Anunnaki symbols, because the Vatican serves those that we will call the Anunnaki, who are serving the Draco, who are serving the AI that the Draco created and then it enslaved them.
It definitely looks like a key, a lock and key, and then when we look to the dollar bill where it has the pyramid and then the all-seeing eye above that, that all-seeing eye is this supposed great supreme leader watching over everyone, making sure everything goes his way.
Yeah, so, and this is a replay in what's happening to humans. We're being enslaved by our technology. Then we'll be merged with our technology. Many people are already merged with the technology, hence the chips, etc. It's exactly what happened to the Draco is happening to Earth humans now, and that's exactly what happened to the Anunnaki themselves. So we have to recognize that, and this is talking about the Icelandic volcano eruption miraculously dodges the only town in its path. Now, it could be that this is because of the consciousness of the people pushing it, and Mother Earth listening, because they don't want us understanding that our environment would be nothing like it is if they were gone. If they were gone, we would have this planet transforming into a true Garden of Eden, not with us here to till it and work it for their profit. No, it's here for us. It's here as our mother energy. It's here to help us learn and love and grow and move forward. We would. They want us to think that, without them, we're going to all die in a solar flash and there's cataclysms coming that are unstoppable. Your only chance to survive is to listen to the Anunnaki, listen to the supreme leaders. When you look to Elohim, the original word in the Bible there, it can translate as judges or mighty ones. And that's who they view themselves as. But again, we are part of the earth now. At this point in time when we are incarnate in these bodies, which come from the earth, we are part of the earth. And the earth views us as her children. And we can nudge things, absolutely. And if we listen, we can also just simply get out of the way. On July 4th, 1917, Nikola Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower on Long Island, New York, was demolished by the federal government when they found out he was planning to give the world free energy as a gift because, again, they need us enslaved. They need us enslaved to the system. Absolutely monitored and monetary system is how they control us. This is the Wachowski oscillator, and it was said that this could restore health at a cellular level. Just simply being in tune with the earth can do the same thing. We don't even need the technology because, whose technology is greater than the original creator? Everything about this system is a distortion. You see, scientists claim they had a 20-minute conversation with a whale, and it's going to pave the way for conversations with extraterrestrials. So they're getting us, ready. And the reality is, when we're outside the dark age, we can communicate with animals, and many of us can and do communicate with animals right now. If we are in tune, and if we are, not drinking fluoridated water, not taking their FARMAs that are lowering our ability to perceive. We could learn so much from nature. Nature is the greatest teacher. Some people are just creeped out by what we're talking about. It's understandable. Owls have a certain symbolism, Bohemian Grove, etc. Some say that grays can transform themselves into owls. I think this kitty is looking a little uncomfortable.
This poor kitty. He's like, he let me in. He's going to eat me. Oh my gosh, he weighs the same as me. Yes. And, nature should be symbiotic. Animals know so much more than we realize. And We have conversations with our pets every day, and we just don't acknowledge it. I think people think that they're making it up, or they're just having a pretend conversation, and that's not true. Animals are the absolute best at communicating via emotions, so they can read the vibrations. And why do you think like dogs can stand away from one another, or even cats, and they have this conversation and one cat wigs out and does something weird and the other cat just walks off? Well, they just had a conversation and somebody got insulted. That's just what happened. And they know how to read that. We have so much to learn from them about their gentle nature. You know, horses, I think, are, and I think I put whales right there too, and dolphins. They're so extremely psychic, and horses' heart, the magnetism of their heart is so big and extreme that if you are around a horse that is calm, your heart is going to, it's going to meet up with the horse's heartbeat, and the horse actually calms you down. And this is why they can be so good for people with PTSD. And I don't know if I'll ever get there, but some in this life, if I could ever get horses to help people with PTSD, I think that would be a very symbiotic way to live on this planet, where horses are doing what they do. They're just being, and they're helping to heal those with PTSD, because the more we can calm that inner soul and stop that upkick of cortisol and calm the adrenals, the more our body can heal. And if we're just brushing a horse, spending time with a horse, this thing can happen. It can really happen. No meds needed. I mean, maybe temporarily, but I do believe people can get off of all kinds if with the appropriate type of symbiotic back and forth with animals. It's right there for us.
Absolutely. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.